This week we're talking about desiring God. This is the first week of October in our lesson, and this month we'll be talking about loving God. So we're going to start by talking about desiring God. Desiring God has to do with intimacy, because if you don't desire someone, or you don't have a desire to be closer with someone, then intimacy doesn't really happen. If you don't want to develop a relationship with someone, you won't desire them. But if you do want to, you do desire them. We're going to look at Psalms 37:4, which says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." I looked up what the word desire means. And according to the dictionary definition, desire means to wish or to long for, to crave, to want, to wish to obtain, to ask for, or request. I think that Christians say we desire God a lot. In prayer, we might say things like, "God, I desire your presence in this room." But I think we say it too easily at times without really meaning that we desire God. So when we're talking about desiring God, we need to look at this definition and decide for ourselves, do we really desire God? Do you wish or long for God's presence? Do you crave him? Do you crave him so much that you are not satisfied until you are with him? Do you wish to obtain him or obtain more of him? Do you ask for more of him? Do you request his presence? I think maybe in increments we might do this for God, but then in some instances I don't think we do. And I think that it's a lot easier to say that we desire God and not actually mean it. I think more often than not, we actually are just we like God more than we actually love him, and more so than being a follower of him, we're just a fan of him. On this blog post there should be a lesson attached, or a video attached, about a guy talking about being more than a fan. Watch that video in addition to this lesson. So I think a lot of times Christians, instead of really being all in for God and really surrendering everything, we just live a superficial faith. And we're a fan of God. We're a fan of his work. We really like what he does. But when it really gets down to it, we're not really following him. It's a lot easier to just like what God does than it is to surrender our whole lives to him and give him all of us. But as stated in the video, we don't really experience the life that Christ offers until we surrender everything to God, and until we follow him more so than being a fan of him. And that video is going to explain more on that topic. So I have some questions, just reflection questions. Just as I read them, just focus to yourself. You can answer them if you want to on paper or something, or you can just read them and decide what the answer is as I read them. Right, so the first question is, do you truly and deeply love God? Or do you just think he's neat and kind of nice and simply just like him? Are you making every effort in your life to follow God and give everything to him? Or are you just a big fan of God? Do you desire God so much that you are actively pursuing a closer walk with him? Or do you just say that you want more of him without doing anything to get more? The answer to these questions probably hurt. It's hard to really give up everything to God and desire him in a way that we're supposed to. But it's not too late to change. But that change won't come if we just say we desire God and we want more of God. If we never act on wanting more of God, then we never will get more of God. So rather than moping and feeling like you're stuck in a rut in your faith, do something about it. Spend more time in the Word. Talk to God like he's really there. He is there in the room. His presence is here. So why do we pretend like he's different than talking to anybody else? He wants to talk to you just like anybody else does. Realizing this problem is the first step to change, and this is your opportunity to actually do something about it. Start pursuing a relationship with God. These kinds of relationships, a deep, intimate relationship with God, doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that takes a long time. But through doing things like spending more time in the Bible or talking to God, or worshiping Him, just treating Him like He's a person and actually giving Him the time of day, those are the things that will bring you closer to God. So in the beginning, I talked about the verse, Psalm 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. As you delight yourself in the Lord, as you do these things like spending more time in the Word, or spending more time with Him, or talking to Him more, as you do those things, delighting yourself in the Lord, He will give you the desires of your heart. This verse doesn't mean that right now if you want a really nice car or lots of money, that is, if you start spending time with God, then those things are going to be given to you. It's not what the verse means. But when you are delighting yourself in the Lord, He will become the desire of your heart. So my challenge for you is to actively find ways to delight yourself in the Lord, and your desire will become Him and His ways. So if you, after listening to this, are just so discouraged because you feel like you're not where you're supposed to be in your relationship with God, do something about it. You're not stuck. Start actively pursuing God, and you'll find that He pursues you too. And when that happens, when you delight yourself in the Lord, you will start to desire the Lord as well. So stop moping about the rut that you're stuck in your faith, and go do something. Live for God, serve Him, love Him, talk to Him, and you will begin to desire Him. And unless you desire Him, you will never go to the next step in your relationship with Him. Until next time.